With modern gaming, some people will say that graphics are 90% of the game to them. While I strongly disagree with that, there are some games where graphics do help the overall presentation of the game. Sometimes, going back to GameCube games and even N64 games can be a real challenge because of their inherent lack of HD. It also doesn't help that the older games weren't powerful enough to render high polygon counts, so some of the games look rather blocky and dated. Modern Nintendo has shown that they understand the problem with going back to older looking games, and lucky for us, they've been fixing the problem. Games like Star Fox 3D and the more recent Wind Waker HD have shown that Nintendo is not opposed to updating their older games for a newer, more HD audience. Today on my top 5 list, I'll be counting down the top 5 Nintendo games that I would like to see receive an HD makeover. Now without further ado, let's kick this thing off with number 5. Number 5, Super Mario Sunshine. I know, this game was awful, right? Why would anyone in their right mind want a remake to such a terrible game? Well, to be honest, I thought that the game was decent. If you look at it like it's not a Mario game, then I think you'll find something of value in it. Isle Delfino is probably my favorite locale from any Mario game to date. The tropical island theme is pulled off so well that it's really a shame that the game is bogged down by such a low resolution. Places in the game like Serena Beach or even just the main hub world would really benefit from HD. Just a quick side note, but this game has some of my favorite water levels and water effects out of any video game to date. Aside from improved graphics and high definition, they could also improve some of the awful things about the game that people didn't like. For instance, they could definitely make less blue coins or just remove them altogether. It was such a pain to try and find them all that they would do a lot better by just removing them altogether. I know people really hate this game, but I think an HD remake that upgrades the visual quality alongside fixing some of the issues would really help people at least get to know the game better and maybe even like it. Number 4, Super Mario 64. I really hate to do this, but I've got to put 2 Mario games in a row. Mario 64 is one of the games that is truly timeless. People can go back and play it to this day and still have the same feeling they did when it first came out. It is one of, if not the most groundbreaking game of all time. Because of this, Nintendo has to remake it for the current generation of gamers to experience. For those unaware, Nintendo has actually remade this game before, Super Mario 64 DS, and to be honest, it's actually decent. This remake expands on the original in so many ways. It has 3 other playable characters, more abilities and powers, and even some fun minigames too. This remake was really good except for one fatal error. This. The D-pad bogged down the game so much. You can't play a 3D platformer with the D-pad. It just doesn't work. It's not possible. That's why we need a dedicated, legitimate remake on a home Nintendo console with an actual analog stick. If they could produce graphics like Mario Kart 8 with all of the added flair from the DS remake, it would truly be one of the greatest Mario games of all time. Again. Number 3, Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. I'm so sorry guys, I honestly don't know what happened when making the list. Mario games have been hindered graphically for so long by the lack of high definition that I honestly think that any of them updated with HD would be incredible. And that's why there's 3 of them on the list. I think that this one speaks for itself. Mario Galaxy was one of the most visually appealing games of the Wii generation. There was such a variety of colors and lighting effects that really made the game look spectacular. The same goes for Mario Galaxy 2. It expanded on all of the first gameplay ideas and added in a bunch more content. I think that if Nintendo really wanted to make bank on this though, then they would make a bundle of the first 2 Mario Galaxy games in HD. A Mario Galaxy 2-pack. I don't have a problem playing the first one too much now, but it being in glorious 1080p is a treat that I just couldn't pass up. Number 2, The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. When Ocarina of Time 3D was announced, the world exploded with delight. Ocarina of Time is easily the best and most influential Zelda game of all time. I can't deny that at all. although secretly I've always been a fan of Majora's Mask a little bit more. The atmosphere, the mask system, and even the time mechanic all appeal to me just a little bit more. No disrespect to Ocarina of Time, but I believe that Majora's Mask built off of the foundation that it laid and pulled everything off just a little bit better. I'm pretty confident that the game will be coming to the 3DS soon. There's been so many hints and rumors that it's impossible that they would just be a coincidence. Seeing the game upgraded to what Ocarina of Time 3D looks like would just be so incredible. I know many people who just couldn't go back and play those N64 games because of how they looked, but if they were updated, then everyone could truly share in such a spectacular game. Number 1. The Metroid Prime Trilogy. This is one of the greatest trilogies of all time. I'm not making a joke or being funny or anything. These games are incredible, and if you haven't played them yet, you've gotta try them. I can't recommend these enough. Now, as to why they deserve an HD remake, this trilogy is already good without HD graphics. Imagine the immense benefit that could be gained with them. All of the locations are so varied and diverse that HD would amp them up to another level. Aside from updated graphics, there's really nothing major that this game needs to have changed. There's some small quirks and issues that could be easily ironed out, but it's ultimately a great game. I hate to sound like a broken record, but if you haven't played it yet, you've got to try it. This is easily the pinnacle of all of the Metroid games. This is Samus at her best. And with that, I've concluded my list. There were definitely some others that I considered having on the list, but ultimately it came down to the ones that I felt had gameplay that would truly benefit from greater graphics. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.